We got DJ Dome and we have DJ Fuze in here for our very first Famous DJ Academy workshop, masterclass. Guys, Famous DJ Academy is a branch of Famous Entertainment Group. What we want to do is bring talented DJs to give y'all knowledge and let y'all know what it takes to be one of the top DJs in the top entertainment city of the world, Los Angeles. You know, these guys have been rocking it for years. Being in LA, I think that's really cool because it's hard to make it out here. Very saturated with DJs, and these guys know what to do. So thank you guys for coming out. DJ Dome, DJ Fuze.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
So real quick, we're going to do a shout out to our sponsors. We are right now in the Rasha Professional showroom. So Rasha Professional, big shout out you guys. Let's make some noise for them. We have a live audience. Yeah, we have a live audience right now. So Rasha Professional, they provided all this lighting, this staging, this LED right here. So make sure you guys check them out. Any DJs out there, if you guys need lighting for your setups, for your private events, venues, clubs, if you guys need lighting as well, these guys do it all. So Rasha Professional, thank you guys so much for hosting us. We are in their showroom right now. Big shout out to Frosted Designs for the design concept of this entire workshop, for their marketing. They are handling the video and the streaming of today. So big shout out Frosted Designs. Big shout out to the Empress LA. They are doing a giveaway today. So anybody that's live in the crowd, you guys have a chance to win a free laser facial.
Nice.
Woo-hoo. Free laser facial, courtesy of Empress LA, and a skin consultation. So I know some of us need that. Make sure you guys put in your raffle ticket. Freedom Roofing Company, they are giving away tequila, or they're sponsoring tequila. So, hey, thank you, man. That was a good time. Always needed. Big shout out to Evelyn Garay with Northwestern Mutual. She is providing free financial freedom consultation. So for anybody here that needs some financial consultation, sometimes as DJs we need that, no? Yeah.
Hit her up right after, man.
So make sure you guys visit Evelyn. She has some really good cookies. I tried them myself. Delicious. Big shout out to Tori's Sweet Cakes. Anybody here in the live audience, I hope you guys saw this really cool cake that is looks like a DJ mixer. Tori can make anything into a cake. She's like one of those I can't believe it's cake type of people. So make sure you guys check out Tori. Big thank you for that cake. And then finally, a big shout out to Core X Fitness. Core X Fitness, they are giving away 8 personal training sessions. Yeah, 8 personal training sessions. And Famous DJ Agency also provides DJs to Core X. So we are a part of their Saturday mornings classes. So if you guys want to be a part of a class with a live DJ, hit up Core X. We are there every weekend. And those are our sponsors. Thank you guys very much. Yes, sir.
Also, shout out Famous DJ Agency, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys. Thank you for having me. Fuze is a goddamn goat, just so you guys know. So I'm happy to be up here with you guys.
My man.
Famous DJ Agency, Famous DJ Academy. Make sure you guys check us out. All right, man. So we have DJ Dome and we have DJ Fuze up here. 2 really good friends of mine. These guys have been rocking the decks for a good while, and what I really admire about them is that they are DJs. You know what I mean? Like, they are the type of DJs that other DJs look up to just because of their skill on their decks, the way they can mix records so creatively. You know, Fuze is out there DJing for the LA Chargers, for the LA Lakers. Dome has DJ'd in the private homes of celebrities, if I can say so. Wiz Khalifa, he's DJ'd for Wiz Khalifa personally. He's DJ'd for Chris Brown personally. I think he's even DJed for Justin Bieber in the same room with Justin Bieber. So, you know what I mean? These are big celebrities in the music scene. So to DJ for people like that, I mean, that must be tough, right? I mean, like, how do you... Okay, all right, let's start off really quick. All right, so Dome, how did you get into DJing? What started it off for you?
So I was 17, 18 years old. I mean, just like everybody, I feel like most of us here in this room, we all grew up loving music. Our families love music. So it was just music, music, music constantly. And I was never like the cool guy in high school ever, but I loved music so much. So like anytime we went to like an event or an outing, they'd have me in charge of music. And one of my buddies, he was like, man, you should just DJ. And I was like, man, that's not really like my thing, man. I'm not like the cool guy. I just love playing good music for people. What I thought was good music, excuse me. And yeah, it just from there it turned into, you know what? Let's do it. Let me give it a shot. And thankfully, I'm gonna skip over 17 years of that story. But it went from DJing in my bedroom every day for 24 hours a day, 18 days a week. It's what it felt like. And then I got my first house party, and from house party to first club to this and that, and I'm very grateful and to be able to travel the world to do it, man. So it's kind of my little story.
Nice, bro. No, I feel like even when I go to parties and I'm not DJing, it's kind of like, dude, we're like, what do I do with my hands? You know what I mean? Fuze, how did you get into DJing?
I mean, kind of by accident. Not by accident, but I was more into, like, at the time, Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, Incubus, and those bands had DJs, part of like the band, right? So they were scratching, and I'm like, you know what? That sounds super cool. So I didn't really want to DJ at first. I just wanted to like scratch. I wanted to like do what they were doing, and I didn't want to do it professionally or nothing. I just wanted to like make those sounds, like just mess around and get those sounds going. And so when I turned 15, my mom took me to the local little DJ store and bought me a cheap turntable, cheap mixer, and never stopped since then. Like just like Dome, I was like locked in my bedroom after high school, and homework can wait. Like I was like just trying to get better every day.
Nice, bro. That's really cool. Yeah, because I know Limp Bizkit had a DJ, a part of the band, right? I think even Linkin Park too. That's cool, dude. So I mean, you guys kind of mentioned that you guys were DJing in your bedroom. What was that step? Like, how did you? We'll start off with Dome. How did you go from, taking it from bedroom to getting an actual gig in a club? Being a little more professional about it.
Honestly, it just I don't know how to explain it. It just happened. My first of real gig was actually for my little cousin Lily. It was her first birthday party, so I was like practicing for like 2 months, song for song, of what I'm gonna do. But I was just DJ for my tios and my tias, really. You know what I mean? But I was like, no, I gotta do great. I gotta do good. And from there, it was just one thing led to another. I DJ'd literally my family party for my cousin Lily's first birthday. And then from there, it was just somebody had a coworker that like, oh, can you do this for me? And I was like, what? So yeah, and then from there, it just kind of trickled into throwing house parties, your own house parties, and someone, just right place, right time. I like to think somebody said, hey man, you're cool. I think you should give this mixtape to so-and-so. And yeah, and that's just kind of how it happened.
I feel like when a DJ sparks up in the family, everybody's like, yes, free DJ for all my parties, right? Yeah. And then we gotta be the one for forever and stuff. But that's cool, man. I love DJing for my family. Fuze, you went from you got your record. We're gonna adjust. You went from your bedroom. What was like your first gig? How did you transition? How did somebody hear you to be like, hey, I want to book you?
Yeah. So I was just in my bedroom practicing for like a good 3 years until I finally felt like, okay, like I'm kind of decent. And then somebody hit me up to do a house party like for a friend, like my cousin's friend or something like that. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm ready. So then, like, I was telling this story earlier, like, my uncles were at the house that day with my dad, and like they all helped me load like my speakers onto their truck, and they drove me to my gig and they helped me unload. So it was like a funny like family moment. But yeah, that's how it was. That was my first gig, a little backyard party for like some high school kids, and I wasn't that good. You know, I was like still kind of like learning, but I was like, I had enough records in my crates to like do a set, you know. So yeah, just kept doing it. After that, like people started like noticing me like from high school. I was also a quiet guy in high school, you know. So they were like, "What? You're a DJ?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like I'm low key, you know, very low key, like to myself, but like yeah, like I'm learning, you know. And like
Kind of like that, like I'm just the cool guy. I'm just a shy
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Right?
So
Yeah,
like,
just
all of a
DJ
sudden, I
little
was
bit.
kind of like cool in a sense, and people from high school like started like noticing that I was DJing, and they were like, "All right, like I have a house party next week. Like, are you down to drop a set?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go," and just kind of like took it from there and never stopped, you know.
That's cool, man. So, I mean, I think what we can take away from that is that everybody starts just in a backyard house party, DJing for your family. What would you say, like, what kind of advice would you give to somebody that's, you know, kind of hesitant to take on their first gig or anything like that?
I mean, it's a scary thing, you know what I mean? It's definitely a scary thing to like take on your first gig, do something you've never done, like play for a crowd, but I mean, you know, like you got to get to a point where like you just got to go for it. Go for it. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to mess up, but you got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? So
right.
Just go all in. But yeah, I mean, no rush too. When you feel like you're prepared and you're ready, like there's an opportunity that feels right, I say just go all in, you know?
Right, right. And so, okay, right now I feel like there's a lot of, you know, DJing in general, I think it's blown up as a hobby or as a talent or something to do. So how would you describe like the difference between, you know, DJing in your bedroom and then DJing for people, you know, at either a private event? What's the difference in that? What do you have to consider, you know, when you're actually performing for other people as opposed to when you're just playing in your room?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different vibe, you know. At home, you're playing for yourself. You're playing what you like. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because a lot of times, like, you're going to end up playing, like, stuff you like for your crowds. But at the same time, when you're playing out for a crowd, like, you got to keep in mind that, like, okay, like, what are they into? What do they like? You know, it's not necessarily a bad thing to take requests just to kind of get a feel of, like, what people are into, like, that are there, you know what I mean? That's just kind of my opinion.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna just piggyback. I'm gonna piggyback on all what he says. It's kind of just I feel like you just had to be in the moment, I think, and just really get to know. Like you said, you at some point you're listening to all kinds of stuff because you don't go in just saying I'm gonna just play Michael Jackson for the rest of my career. You know, you kind of get a little bit of everything and a taste of everything, and when it's I mean, he can attest to it because he literally does arenas, I don't know how many times a week for the LA, you know, for the Lakers, and it's just setting a vibe. It's reading the room. It's just making sure it's not just you're not focused. You're focused obviously on the music, but you're not so much focused on, you know what, I'm gonna take that back. You're focused all the way, man, and you're setting the vibe for the room, and just knowing that you're playing for somebody else. At least for me, the way I think of it is this is a moment for somebody else. Some people come to, you know, in his instance, they come to a Laker game and they say, oh my God, I had the best time, blah, 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 blah. And by the way, and the music and the vibe was on point. That kind of stuff, I feel like music is a soundtrack to there's soundtracks to all our lives. And, you know, there's a certain song that he might play that somebody would just correlates forever and ever with that moment. So I just feel like it's also, you have to take that into consideration, that this is somebody else's moment, whether it's a $50 gig, a $500 gig, a $5,000 gig, a 20 people room, or a 20,000 people room. I think you have to take into consideration that this is somebody else's moment, and that, you know, you're trying to be a part of that, make it memorable.
100%, dude. Okay, like, so we talk like bedroom DJing, right? So we're talking about how when you get out the bedroom, you know, you're playing for other people. Now, when you're playing for other people, there's also different types of DJing. So you're either club DJing, you're doing private DJing, you could be a brand DJ, You could be a tour DJ. You could be a stadium DJ. So how do you guys, I mean, Fuze, you do stadiums. You also do radio. Dome has done radio. You know, how do you approach each one of these things differently? Because it's got to be a different mindset.
Yeah, every gig is a little different. You know, I mean, you do a bar, you're playing for like the young crowd that's like bar hopping, and you know, you're playing the hits for them. You know, you got to take into consideration that they're like, for the most part, a younger crowd. So like, that's that. And then when you're at the stadium, like, it's different age levels. You know what I mean? There's little kids, there's babies, there's people like in their 70s. Like, there's all kinds of age groups. So you got to cater to all those people. You know what I mean? And then on the radio, it's a little different because you're catering to like, you know, like the demo with a age group that like the music, and then you have a playlist when you're on the radio, you know, so that's a little different. So you're following those rules. So every type of gig is a little different, but I mean, I always tell people like, you gotta adjust, and that's a beautiful thing about this culture is that you can rock like all kinds of gigs, and there's DJs that like, you know, like they do the festivals, there's DJs that do the bars, like it's a beautiful thing, you know, to do a little bit of everything, you know?
Right. Okay, so Dome, when it comes to, you know, so I think there's a lot of preparation in that, right? A lot of preparation. When I do different gigs, sometimes I'll be doing like a lot of nightclubs for a bit, and then, oh, I've got a wedding this weekend. I'm like, okay, I gotta prepare for this wedding, and I gotta like change my brain. I gotta like rewire it. Okay, now I'm in wedding mode. And then sometimes okay, next week I'm gonna do a sporting event. I'm like, okay, now I gotta get in sporting event mode, right? So yeah, there's a lot of types of DJing, a lot of preparation. But when you're doing, you know, private events for specific celebrities, how do you prepare music for the biggest celebrities in the world? You know what I mean? Like, so that has to be nerve-wracking a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it is, because at some point, I mean, you grow up listening to these people, you know, and some of these artists that you just grow up listening to, you get some, not that you're starstruck in the sense of staring, oh my God, but you're just kind of just like, at least I'm gonna just speak on my own experience. Every time I played for said celebrity, I was just like, man, like I've listened to this guy since I was 10 years old, wanting to do stuff with them, you know, and by them, and now it's, you know, all of a sudden you're DJing for them, they're coming over your shoulder, yo, play this, and it's something that's kind of surreal, you know, and I think the preparation that goes in, I think, at least for me, big preparation is getting to know your crowd, knowing who you're DJing for. If you're gonna DJ for a celebrity, you got to make sure, because I've done it in the past by accident. There was this, I'm not gonna mention too many names, but I DJ'd a celebrity, and I played a song that apparently he had beef with. His whole crew came over. They're like, yo, you can't play that. But it was the hottest song at the time. I was like, oh, damn. So, okay, my bad, you know. And it's not like you can stop the party and explain to everybody, hey, my bad, I played the wrong song. You know, so you just gotta be quick. So you definitely have to learn your audience, know who you're DJing for. Know who you're DJing for. That way you can engage appropriately, and just kind of just set the mood for yourself. Because at least me personally, I'm not necessarily driving on the way to the gig thinking, okay, I'm gonna play this song, this song. It's just more of a preparation with time, and I get myself pumped up, and I kind of just, once I get there, again, feel the room, same thing, and just know your crowd, because you're not gonna play Back That Ass Up for an 80th birthday party, you know what I mean? Like, you could, but...
I would.
I mean, yeah, you could, but odds are, in my experience, Betty is not gonna break her back at 80, you know what I mean?
I feel it, man. Fuze, so when you're doing, kind of like similar question, you know, when you're doing the stadiums, do certain players ask you for certain songs? Like, do you have to prepare certain music for certain players?
Yeah,
or?
There's moments where, like, you know, but like in sports it's a little different because a lot of it is already pre-planned, you know what I mean? Like, halftime performances are pre-planned, so we know what's coming. But yeah, there's moments where like we'll get a request from like a player during the week, and not necessarily me, but like my partners, like for example, Vic One, like he'll get like a track request from a player, like, yo, I want to hear this during warm-ups. So it's like, when it comes to sports, there's a little more prep that comes to it. I've told a friend, like, I want to say with sports, it's like 80% prep and like the rest is, showing up and like doing the work the day of. That's what it's been like in my experience. But yeah, it's like at the same time, it's similar, like you gotta, with sports, you gotta feel the moment. If like your team that you work for is getting their ass kicked, like you're not gonna play like the happiest song in the world either, like you're not gonna play like Usher, yeah, or Pitbull, I Feel Good, because it's like everyone doesn't feel good. You know
That's
what I mean?
club. That's club music, right?
It's things like
they want more pump up, get ready to take
yeah,
it down.
and like you got to read the moment too. Like if like for example, like if they're not doing good, like okay, play something a little more mellow that like they'll be okay with, and it'll set that moment. So just a little bit of that, when it comes to sports.
100%, bro. So I mean, you guys both have to have a deep library, right? Like to be prepared for this kind of stuff. Do you guys have some tips on how to develop your library? Where do you guys have certain DJ pools you guys maybe want to shout out? Where do you guys get your music?
Yeah, like I get my music from different places. Like shout out to DJ City. BPM Supreme is dope as well. Headliners Music Club is super dope. What else? Beat Source. Like if you're into like the streaming and getting tracks on the fly, that's dope too. And yeah, I still buy tracks from time to time as well too, like iTunes if I can't find it anywhere. Like
right, yeah.
Something that's like
I buy a lot of music too. Yeah,
like something that you can't find that's like current, that's 20 years old, and you don't have, like I'll go on there and buy it as well. So yeah, it's just collecting from over the years, and like from doing radio, obviously, like I've gained a lot of music. A lot of it isn't that great either. So it's like a lot of like organizing and getting rid of things that don't work anymore either. So a lot of organizing my music,
Yeah. Are you guys big into crates? You guys like have a lot of crates for a lot of things?
I personally am. I'm a big crate guy, and my crates are very simple and very dumb. I have a crate that's obviously I have the very easy ones, the 80s, the 90s, but then I have what in my head is just I have a crate for weddings. They call it all-nighters, dinner music 25, 2025, 2026, whatever the case is. But then I have, kids party, and then seasonal, and then Christmas. I do, and then I have new hip hop, or what I think is new hip hop, and then I have I have a list of crates that just goes way too long that you just never know when you're gonna use them, and I just feel like it's good to have a variety, because I'm the kind of person that if somebody comes up to me and says, hey, do you have this from the 1930s? I sure do, and I have a crate. I just stroll all the way down, and boom, there it is. Oldies, 60s, 70s, 40s, 50s, 30s. I've always wanted to be the guy that's going to be like, oh yeah, I have that. Even if I don't necessarily have it down entirely, at least I know, and I'm not saying my crates are down perfect to the T, but I just have a bunch of music that I feel like we're always listening, and I just throw them into those crates, and I can jump in there seamlessly and just, okay, I have a selection of 500 songs per crate or whatever the case is.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Like when you check out another DJ's laptop, like right now, we have Fuze's laptop set up on the decks. It's
I'm gonna jump in on that real quick.
Yeah,
it's a mess. Yeah. It's a mess. I apologize.
No, but it's like when you open somebody else's Serato, it's just like, whoa, like it's kind of, you get a little bit of an inside look into their brain a little bit, no? Like
how they set their cues and all that, right?
Yeah, everybody sets their cues different. Me, like with my crates, some are like based by genre. I have 80s, 90s and stuff. But then I also have like vibes. I have like chill pregame. I have upbeat party. And the way you label them is just, I don't know, whatever you come up with, no? Yeah.
Yeah, like I have like friends that like kind of set like early like 9 a.m. vibes or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
there you go.
10 p.m. vibes. Then you kind of go up 11 p.m. as the crowd is warming up. So yeah, like every DJ, it's interesting. Every DJ kind of has their own way of setting up crates, and yeah, like I'm sure you went on my crates and you're like, man, well, what is this crate about? Like you kind of trip out, right?
Yeah. No.
And it's cool. And sometimes, again, at least for me, it doesn't have to be mine. Sometimes it's literally, I have a crate that says songs I like, songs I love. and I just jump in there. I have a crate that says random. I'm like, oh, and when I'm DJing, and I feel like sometimes we do get stuck in a quick little fog when you're DJing for, whether it's a festival or you're DJing, 8 hours at a wedding. You're like, oh, okay, I don't want to do the same thing over and over. So I go on this crate. I have a crate called random, and I go, oh, cool, this is random, but it's cool, and it works.
Right. No, I think it's Serato. I think Serato changed the game, dude. Especially from like the vinyl vibe. So I think Serato is such a good tool. I've had the pleasure of watching Dome mix sometimes. So I mean the cues, the loops that you're able to set. How do you guys go about setting? I mean Fuze too. When you make a lot of like those artist dedicated mixes, so I know you have to be using cues and.
Yeah. Like
and the stems. You guys use the stems?
I use stems a little bit. But I make a lot of like edits when I make my like own routines. I'll make my own edits just so like I know they sound a little bit like more cleaner than the stems. But yeah, like my cue points are very random, and I'll show you guys like in a bit. I'll show you guys like some of like my different random cues that like might not make sense, but like maybe once I like. Yeah. Do a little routine, maybe it'll make sense.
But they make sense to you.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a whole nother language in there, dude, yeah. 100%. No, the stems, I think, when they released stems, to me, that was like a little bit of a game changer. I was just like, oh, man, hell yeah. Like, to be able to have the acapella and throw something under it and, like, kind of go from some trap into, like, some disco, because you can, like, double time it a little bit. Okay. So a little bit about Dome, right? So Dome when I've heard him mix private events, and it's crazy how he can mix certain genres, like I just said, trap into disco. How do you go about mixing those kind of genres, or flowing through stuff like that at a private event?
I'll be honest. For me, it's kind of just it's vibes. Like you feel the room, you feel the energy. But again, I'm gonna circle back to the beginning. I used to practice every single second of my life. I don't necessarily do it now. I think now I don't ever practice ever, to be honest with you. But when I first started, I feel like like anything you do, not just DJ necessarily, but you really have to do the best you can, get the fundamentals down. That way you can really kind of just set yourself up for anything that comes. Because you could be DJing a party. Now we go back to DJing. You could be DJing a party. A 70-year-old person says, hey, can you play this song from Santana that's blah, blah, blah. But then you have a 18-year-old saying, yo, can you play this new Shoreline Mafia? And you're like, okay, well, how does this work? You know what I mean? And that's where the creativity comes in. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where you got to find, that's what DJing is. You're creative, whether it's, and I don't think necessarily, and I'm not necessarily sloppy, but you don't necessarily always have to transition a 122 BPM song to 105. Like, there's cool ways to stop, talk on the mic, and then drop a song boom, into something. And that's, not every single song, but I feel like there's times where it's appropriate for that. But then you have people like Fuze, who is an absolute monster of a legend. And everybody, I've got to fan out for a second, man. You are one of probably the greatest. Like, every time I watch a video, you have to stop. Like, hold on, babe, I gotta watch. Because you watch a video and you're just like, man, how does this guy do this?
Appreciate you, bro. But no, I mean, back to what you were saying, like, even me, like, like I do the routines on social media, and but like, I don't always DJ like that, like during all my gigs, you know what I mean? Like,
at a dinner,
yeah, like, I know the crowd doesn't always want to hear like scratching and bringing the record back nonstop. I know that when you're at a club or at a gig, like, that doesn't always work, so it's like the time and place, right? Social media, I guess it kind of works because, people are like on their phone, right, watching it. But I mean, yeah, I also agree with that. Like, I'll echo out from one BPM to the other just to change the vibe out of nowhere if I feel like it's kind of dragging and I need to just switch it up to like a different vibe, so all that is cool, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't always have to be perfect. Like, we're all a little sloppy from time to time, and you just kind of do your thing and go with the flow,
Dope, bro. No, so when you're putting together those mixes that you did for artists, do you get like and you performed them for them? No, you would do them live.
There was a few times where I recorded them like live in the mix room, but it wasn't necessarily while they were there. It was like later I
Okay.
would kind of sync the
I see.
moment, the reaction, and it was played back. But a lot of times, like towards the end of when I was in radio, like I was recording them a lot at the crib, you know.
Yeah.
So it was still a lot of prep and stuff. But yeah, I would have to kind of like, you know, imagine what songs they would kind of like react to the most. You know, I'm like, all right, like Exhibit, for example, like I remember I used to play this song out all the time, and I'm like, I feel like he might get a cool reaction out of it. And one time, like, I did play a song in his artist intro that he was like, what song was that? He was like tripping out, you know what I mean? He's like, what song was that? I'm like, oh, it was that one song from that one mixtape or whatever. And he even like sent me a DM later, like, hey, yo, I need that. Like let me know what's the name of the track.
Damn.
So
you
it's
had music of Exhibit that Exhibit didn't need.
like he forgot about it, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
That's crazy, man.
I actually have one quick question for you, man. Obviously, I feel like all DJs, at least everybody who loves the art and the create and you know the real DJing, what goes through your mind? Maybe I'm jumping a question here, but this is something I've always wanted to ask. When you're setting up these things, I know you kind of just said like, you know, you want to get a reaction, but is there anything in particular that you're looking for within yourself to try to push yourself to be better on these videos, or is it just like a copy and paste? Okay, this works. Like when you do a mix, like how much time, or not a mix, excuse me, like when you do one of those mix shows, how much time and preparation goes into that on your end? For you've played for every celebrity possible, you know, as well, you know. So it's just what goes through your mind. What's kind of triggering? Okay, let me push this boundary. If that question kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's like I approach like every different little opportunity when it came to those mixes, like as their own. You know what I mean? Sometimes we would get artists that weren't that known yet, but I had to do my research. You know what I mean? I'm like, I've never heard of this artist. No disrespect. You know, they were a newer artist coming up, and I'm like, I gotta dig. What do they have out? Like I had to like go online and be like, all right, where are their social media handles? Like what have they put out? You know what I mean? And those were definitely a challenge. But when it came down to like more of like the legendary artists, like like the Wiz Khalifas, like the Ice Cubes and stuff, like it's like I really put myself in that like fan boy like moment, where I'm like this is what I like. I've been to their shows, like so I try to just kind of like put myself back in those moments where I went to their concerts, and I'm like, I remember them performing that track and like the reaction I felt when I was in the crowd, like, so I'm like, I try to kind of like give that back to them and see if they get any reaction out of them, so kind of like that.
No doubt, man. I mean, so we're talking about playing for artists and stuff like that. For DJs out there that want to get to that level, what do you guys recommend? I mean, I know a lot of it has to be skill and practice. Because, I mean, even myself, I think even to this day, I think I still play mixes or like little transitions that I practice at home because I wanted to be perfect. You know what I mean? So then I would practice them at home, and then I still do them to this day from like my first mix. You know what I mean? So, there's that aspect of practicing and being good at the craft, but there's another aspect to it of having certain relationships and connections. How did you guys go about developing those relationships, nurturing those connections? Like, what kind of advice would you give to somebody? Because I think there's I would say that skill doesn't equal success. Like, not just skill, right? Like, there's got to be some more. Like, what kind of advice would you give to somebody to, get to that level? Say they're already really good at scratching or good at mixing. What advice do you give?
Yeah, I mean, like, skill is like just one thing of it, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what I try to tell people. It's like, just because you don't scratch or you don't do like a certain like trick or whatever, it doesn't mean like you're not dope, you know what I mean? Like, I admire certain things from like DJs that like don't scratch at all. What I mean, like everybody has like a thing they're dope at, and like I think work on those strengths that you have and run with that, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, skills is one part of it, you know what I mean? To be successful, like like there's so many other factors that come into it. You know what I mean? Like you gotta obviously be a good person, be easy to work with. You know, I don't know what else you think, Dome. Like,
No, yeah, just I think the biggest thing, okay, like you said, kind of focus a little bit on all, you know, try to master as much as you can of each part of it. But biggest thing, what he said at the end there was just, it's just being a good person, man. I feel like that goes so much further than, oh, I'm this and I'm that. You're like, yeah, like you've done cool stuff, but it doesn't, you know, make you necessarily better. You might have more this or more that, but it's still, I mean, a good person's still a good person. You don't look at somebody on the street, cut them off, flip them off, and wish them the best. You know, like, I feel like if somebody, you know, like I just feel like something organically comes from just being a genuinely good person. And we're not out there all perfect and all saints, but you know, at least be the best person you can, because we all have bad days, we all have bad whatever, and but doesn't mean that this guy doesn't deserve a chance, or you never know who you're talking to. You could be like, if somebody here in this room or anywhere you're watching, if you had no clue who in the room next to you is, it could be somebody just as amazing, as talented. They're just not as loud about it. You know what I mean? And I just feel like you just never know where that goes, and you know, staying grounded always kind of gets you further, as opposed to just. And I'm not saying it's bad to be loud and you know, this want all the light on you, but there's also you could do that within good. I think, you know, you could do that within being a good person still.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think, you know, having skill, being a good person, being easy to work with. I think something we touched on a little bit too was just kind of understanding that in any aspect or in any situation that you're DJing, to understand that you're part of a bigger project, right? You're part of a something bigger than just yourself. Like when you're DJing in the stadium, you know, you're a part of the whole experience of what people are experiencing in the stadium.
Yep.
When you're DJing at a wedding, you're a part of somebody's one of the most important days of their day of their life, right? So understanding your part as a DJ, I think there's also a big part in like professionalism. I think that's something that has also helped myself, like go you know, further in certain things, like you know, being on time and following a program and stuff like that, right? I mean, do you guys, how would you, you know, for somebody getting started, would you recommend contracts? How do you guys go about deposits, you know, maybe even setting boundaries when somebody's maybe asking for a little bit too much? I think because I think even a lot of DJs have some struggle, like even, you know, figuring out their price point, that kind of stuff. You know, how do you guys feel about that?
To be honest, I'm still trying to get a little better at that. You know, I do, I do weddings from time to time, and sometimes I'll let like my partner, like my buddy, he does the emceeing when I DJ for the most part, and he'll like kind of handle more of the business side of it, because I know he's better at like writing up contracts and the invoicing and all that goes with it. But yeah, it's a lot of communication, you know what I mean? Like making those phone calls and just being on the same page throughout the entire process, like just knowing that like what they're gonna expect out of the experience, you know what I mean? Like, and like not showing up that day and being like, oh, like you wanted that, like I had no idea. It's like, no, have those phone calls, have those every week or whatever the case may be, like follow up, like you got everything you need, like making sure that like you're prepared when you're there, you know?
Yeah, following up is a big thing. If you're at least on my end, on as far as the, you know, the private events goes, it's, you know, if you're having, you know, and I feel like it's also trial and error. Like there's no perfect contract for a DJ, because every scenario is different. You're not gonna have the same contract you're gonna have, you know, for this wedding that you're doing your best. That's not necessarily a budget wedding, but it's like a backyard wedding. You're not gonna have that same contract when you're DJing for, I DJ for a lot of Adriana's Insurance, for example. I'm not gonna have the same contract for Adriana's Insurance as I am for Rocio's backyard wedding. You know what I mean? I just feel like they're just different vibes, and of course protect yourself, but it's also, you know, to make sure that it's fair for everybody. It doesn't have to necessarily be you're essential to the day. You're gonna make a moment. You're gonna create something forever, but it's their day. Because at the end of the day, I feel like if it wasn't for them even booking you, what good is a contract if you got nobody to book you? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's trial and error. Okay, this worked, this works, and maybe I don't want this in there, I don't want that in there. And for me, I'm flexible, man. I'm very flexible when it comes to, and I think that's part of being a DJ overall. You have to be flexible because sometimes, for whatever reason, like if you have it in your contract, say, I gotta have my money the day before or before 6 p.m. Like, are you really not gonna start the party? Because you know what I mean. Like, and I get it. Sometimes we've all encountered. I'm sure you've had your fair shares of, dang, I just got gypped.
You got to be easy to work with. You know what I mean? There's going to be curveballs thrown your way. Like when I do my sports gigs, like it happens like here and there where like, like I got to show up super early for like a rehearsal call time, and then they're like, oh, the performer's showing up like late. They're running late. Their flight got delayed. So I'm just there, but it's like you got to be like cool. Like it's all good. Like we got to make the best of the moments. And yeah, sometimes like with certain requests too, like, oh, like they give you a song that they want to hear, and then last minute they're like, no, like I want this one instead, or this different edit. You're like, all right, let's run it. You got to be like cool with those like different curveballs that get thrown your way.
Yep.
No, yeah, dude. I mean, like I think being flexible, like you said, and of course, I mean sometimes there's even sometimes people have been booking you for a long time. So you know what I mean? It's like I'm gonna hook you up because you've helped me out in certain times.
I think that's part of, and those are returning customers, man. Those are the same people that, in turn, when they say, oh, who'd you have for your wedding? Oh, I had Fuze, and oh, well, how do we get in contact? Here's this number. Like, I feel like those relationships goes a long way too, man, because it's not always a new TikTok or Instagram video that's gonna book you for. Yeah, of course you get bookings off that, but I mean, word of mouth branding is one thing, but word of mouth is also, it goes a long way. And when you don't want to be the guy, at least, I'll be honest, I used to be the guy that I would show up just in time, running in, setting up speakers. My speakers, or some of them are bashed up because I would just throw them around. But now it's just like, I learned to take care of my stuff, and I get there with time, and just that way you can prepare. Preparation's a big part of it. And I just, it's an entire experience that, if somebody's booking you, you want the person to say, oh yeah, they were super easy to work with. They followed up with me. They give me X, Y, and Z for the day. I like to give personally on the private event side. I like to give a general itinerary to people. I typically get on a call for about an hour or so with the person, kind of discuss what they're looking for, and I also make sure I'm a match because I've done plenty of events where I'm just sweating the whole time. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not the guy for this event. But I mean, I needed the money, so I did it, I'll be honest. But I think I've learned to pick and choose appropriately of, okay, if they're asking for banda the whole night, I know I can do banda for a couple, maybe an hour or two solid where I'm killing it, but 7 hours of it, I'm like, damn, man, like, where's your rocks? Because, like.
Yeah, you could plug in, right? No, yeah, man, I feel it. So I wanted to talk about. Okay, yeah. So I mean, we talked about your banged up speakers, right? I mean, how important is equipment for you guys? I mean, is there any equipment you guys go to? Sometimes I'm big on outsourcing. I like to get somebody to take care of the production and stuff like that. Do you guys have your own equipment? What do you guys recommend?
Yeah, like I still have like my speakers in the garage, my subs. Like if a wedding comes up, like, and if it's like a smaller wedding that I can, for like 150 people or so, like I know like my gear can kind of handle it. And I have some lights as well. Yeah, I'll still take on some gigs. But yeah, like just like Dome, like, or just like you, if it's a big event, like there's nothing wrong with like getting a rental company or somebody to help out, and you break them off with some money or whatever.
Yeah, like Rasha doing this.
Rasha, yeah.
Yeah.
Plug in Rasha, exactly. Hit up Rasha. I know Dome told me that you got like a little bit of a sponsor, right, recently from social media content. I wanted to touch on social media content. So
yeah.
Talk about how that came about, like just from putting out content, right?
Yeah. So yeah, honestly, I keep telling myself, I'm gonna do this video, and I'm a, I hate being that guy, but I do it, and then and sometimes I think I just get too into it, like as far like I too invested into it in the negative way. Like if it didn't get 1 billion views, I'm like, oh, why didn't it get a billion views, as opposed to just, I'm a big fan of, doesn't have to be perfect and oh my God, exceptional, but I feel like once it's out there, you can't put out a video. Like, I think our biggest critics are ourselves. And I mean, we watch your videos. I'm sure there's so much that goes into it, so much preparation. And
No, I was telling Don earlier that, like, you know, sometimes like we just overthink it and we want everything to be a home run, and we got to be cool with the fact that not everything's going to be a home run, you know? I mean, sometimes like you're going to put out something that just gets a handful of likes and a handful of comments, and it's just part of the world we live in, you know what I mean? It's like the social media world, we live off like the likes and the comments, and that's just what it is. But I think a good word of advice for like the guys that are like starting out like with DJing is like, you know, once you feel like you're ready, like don't be afraid to put out some content, man. Like people are gonna like appreciate it, and like you got like a good fan base or supporters, like they're gonna appreciate what like you're trying, and like, you know, you're gonna get better every time at it, you know?
And it's cool to see the growth too. I think like if someone's just putting out constantly, they're seeing you go from A to Z, and that journey in itself is the content, you know. And I'm gonna just kind of make myself the example. For the longest time, I said, okay, I did something, I did a cool series, and then the last video didn't do that well, so I was like, you know what? I just got discouraged. But you know, it's as simple as sometimes just doing it. I think at least I'm gonna speak for myself again. I make excuses for myself as far as, oh, you know, as lame as I don't have a haircut, so I don't want to record it, to as something as, you know, I just don't want. Sometimes I'm just lazy. That's just you know, that's a flat out truth. But recently I did a video just because I said, you know what, I want to get content out. I want to show people, because I've been doing this for a long time, man, and I can't. It's unfortunate that I can't say I have, hey, look at my YouTube video to book me for a wedding. I'm just like, oh, well, I promise you I'll kill it. Like, that's really like what I have. And so I want to work on that. And recently I just uploaded a video of, you know, me doing something. And funny enough, a company reached out. It's called, you know, no disrespect to Rasha, because these are incredible. Everything here is incredible. But Sheds Lighting actually reached out to me, and they said, hey, man, we love what you're doing. And it was a video, and it didn't even get too much attention, but it got someone's attention in China, you know, that said, we want to send you X, Y, and Z, and now I have a whole lighting set up for free. And I was like, wow, just because I put out content, you know what I mean? Like, that wasn't the intention. The intention was to just show, you know, what I can do as a wedding DJ, or, you know, not necessarily wedding DJ, but yeah, you know, just what I could do. And somebody was watching at the right time, right place, and I got a full-blown sponsorship. Everything I purchased, they refunded my money. They said, we just want you to make more videos. And I feel like that kind of forces me in a good way to make more content, whether that's, you know, I'm not gonna beast it up like Fuze here, but, you know, just do more content in itself.
No, I was just gonna say that, like, you never know who's watching, you know what I mean? Like put out some content, like so and so might not like hit the like button or watch it or whatever, but like in his case, like a big lighting company watched, and look what came from it, you know what I mean? Something like so simple, you know what I mean? It's like, let's try not to overthink it, and like just put out the content, and you never know what will come from it, you know?
No, yeah, no doubt. I think one of my most viewed TikToks is this top freestyle songs. I mean, I love freestyle, like the, you know, 80s freestyle, but it's like, I'm not a freestyle DJ, but I have thousands of likes, and I was like, really? Like that one? Like, all right, cool. Yeah, man, so I mean, how important do you guys think that putting out this content or like this marketing stuff, because I know a lot of DJs are afraid of it. Would you guys recommend like every day? You know, everybody's fighting the algorithm. What do you guys recommend as far as consistency?
I mean, that's kind of it, man. Just consistency. As much as I would love to say, you know, you should do it 3-4 times a week, it's tough, because I know Fuze can definitely say he just recently became a new father, so that, not that priorities. Obviously, his son is going to be number one. He's not going to say, hold on, man, we got to get these likes. But you know, I feel like at some point you've got to say, okay, you know, you take care of home, quote unquote, per se, and then, you know, if you still want to do this, you do it. And I think for myself, if I can try to just record, if I can spend one day, one full day, because there's days I know where we all say, oh, we're busy, but we're in bed till 11 just scrolling. You're like, oh, damn, it's 11. You know, like, I feel like if you just take one day out of the month, 2 days out of the month, record 50 videos, whatever the case is, and you can post 3 a week. It doesn't mean you're going out, setting up your equipment, putting it out 3 times. You're setting it up 3 times a week. You do one video, 50, you know, record 50 different things, and you post them 3 times a week. There's so much now. I feel like you can schedule a post, schedule it 1 every 2 days. It works, cool. If it doesn't, you just keep going. That's what I know. That's what I'm gonna do this year. I'm gonna take 2 days out of my month because I'm busy, but I'm not always that busy. You know what I mean? And I can just put off the burger that I was gonna have at noon and just, you know what? I'll cook some food at home and then just kind of lock in per se for that day and just record all my content. You know, like you said, like those videos, those top 50 blah 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 whatever freestyle videos. You know, and just I feel like if I can do at least my own personal goal is to try to do 2 or 3 a week and just release them, have them scheduled. You know, I feel like that in itself would be good because people want to go to your page and they come, you know, and I'm again kind of making myself the example. I did a couple of videos and I know that I felt that they were cool and I was like, okay, cool, I did some cool videos, but let's just say you liked it. You go to my page, but my last post is 2013. Like, what good does that do? You know what I mean? I feel like it's just, that's where that consistency comes in. And
no doubt. Fuze, since, I mean, I feel like your content is so good and, like, technical. Like, how do you go about, like, being consistent when yours? Do you record every day?
No, like, to be honest, it like, ever since my daughter was born, like, it just kind of, I had to, like, put DJing a little bit aside, you know, for a little bit. Just to focus on, you know, what was important at the time. But, you know, little by little, I've been trying to, like, get back to it and come up with ideas of things that I want to do. And, like Dome said, like, just kind of, like, setting that time aside to be like, you know what, like, it's the same thing. Sometimes, like, I'm like, all right, the day's over, my daughter's asleep. Like, I still have 3 hours where I'm just up and, like, I'll be scrolling or watching the game. I'm like, I could have been, like, doing something productive, you know what I mean? Something I could have posted that, like, could have helped me, like, maybe get another gig out of it. And that's why it's important to, like, be consistent. And it doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be every week. It could be, like, once a month or whatever the case. But it is important to post content because that's kind of like our business card nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, people, like, go to your Instagram and, like, what are they doing? What did they last do? Like, oh, like, they posted that video. Like, oh, like, a promoter or whoever can be like, oh, yeah, like, I remembered he just posted a cool video the other day, like, let me reach out and book him, you know what I mean?
yeah, that part right there where you said somebody could be just thinking, oh, what is it? And like you said, somebody just sees your video, you just posted, and it's like, oh, dang, he did that. Like, that's the perfect example, I think.
Yeah, like, oh, like, I forgot about him, and no, but he posted a video, like, oh, like, you know, so it's important to, like, stay in people's, like heads in that way, you know?
Right. So, I mean, we're going to wrap up right now, but so I heard that on your free time, you know, you have a daughter. On your free time, you eat burgers, you know?
Clearly.
So, I mean, any tips for anybody, you know, trying to balance, you know, normal life and DJing and, you know, stuff like that? Any tips?
Yeah, any tips? Just be organized, you know what I mean? Like with me, it's just a lot of conversations with my wife, like, what do we got coming up this week? And she's like, all right, like, well, you know, this day we don't have this, so, like, why don't you try to, like, get in the studio and just, you know, like, do what you got to do, like, record or come up with a routine, whatever the case, right? Like, so it's just a matter of, like, looking at your calendar and seeing what's coming up and finding that time, even if it's like 30 minutes one day, and you just go in there and practice and set up your phone, set up your GoPro camera, and just hit record, and maybe something dope came out during that, like, little practice session, you know?
Yeah, preparation, I think that's the biggest key, whether it's, you know, again, whatever is life, DJing, work, whatever the case, I think you just have to kind of get, you know, and be at peace within yourself, man, because if you're scrambling constantly, like, how effective is something going to be? You're going to record it, okay, let me just do this real quick, and you look back, you're like, what is this? And you're just like, you know what, you scrap it. And I feel like it just preparation is key. When that's like you said, you in my scenario, I try to get with my fiance and say, okay, this is what we have going on. This is what our little girl's gonna be doing. Let's prioritize this, and then from there you go. You take care of home first, and then you set aside. You make the time because everybody has time. You just we've all heard a billion different ways of saying it, but you just have to make the time, and it's just preparation is key for that, man. Yeah.
No doubt, man. I was talking to Fuze about this earlier, that I think once you kind of realize that you love this and it's what you're gonna do, you know what I mean? Like, you just find the time to do it, and then I think it's also knowing that there is more to life as well. You know what I mean? There's more to life than just DJing. It's great. It's my passion as well, but there's also a life to live. There's daughters, there's fiancés, wives, and everything. So I think it's just important to remember that, don't get so obsessed.
Yeah, it's important to be dedicated to your craft and to what you do, but family, friends, all that other stuff, like, is very important as well. And make time for the other moments as well, because time goes by fast. You know what I mean? Like, you just never know.
Exactly.
And I think, at least for me, I saw this quote somewhere, and it's so simple, man. But if you're ever going through like if you're in a rut, whatever the case, whether it's DJing or this, like, you look back 5 years from now, you're like, I got that. It's gonna be okay. It's always gonna be okay. Like, you look back and you're like, you were stressing out because this video, this or this, that, but then at the same time, you were, just sometimes it happens. We have bad moments, bad weeks, bad months, not months, but you're going through things sometimes, whatever it is. Personal stuff comes up, family stuff, work stuff, whatever the case is, and we all go through things, man. But you look back and you have to just think, you're here today, you're still here now. I'm grateful to God to have another day, another life, all that fun stuff. But you look back and you say, it's gonna just always tell yourself, at least me, I've been learning to kind of just take a moment, just take a breath and say, it's gonna be okay. Because 10 years ago I struggled, 5 years ago I struggled, and there's days I just look back and something comes from that struggle, you know what I mean? And at least for myself, I look back and tell myself, it's all gonna be okay.
Yeah, we gotta enjoy the journey. Yeah, enjoy the journey. All right, you guys, so give it up for Dome and Fuze. We're gonna have a little bit of a scratch session. I know that's what we came here to see from both of them. Yeah, and but right before we do our showcase right there, we have a Q&A. So anybody out here in the live audience that has a question for either Dome or Fuze, go ahead, raise your hand. We got one right there for sure. We could give him a mic.